So Andy Ashby will have the ball for the Phillies. He'll be opposed by Jose Mercedes for the Baltimore Orioles, game 2 of this series. Tonight is the 50th reunion of the 1950 Whiz Kids. They're being honored here at Veterans Stadium. And of course, their horse was Robin Roberts, the Hall of Fame right-hander. And Chris Wheeler had a chance to catch up with Robbie, and we'll have that interview after these messages. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Mellon PSFS, a wealth of solutions. And by Independence Blue Cross and Pennsylvania Blue Shield, the health care plans you can lean on.
And welcome back to Veterans Stadium. Tonight the Phillies and the Baltimore Orioles in game number 2 of this 3-game weekend series, and it's my great pleasure to welcome the tremendous Hall of Fame right-hander, the Philadelphia Phillies, Robin Roberts. Robbie, good to see you here. Welcome back to town. And I want to ask you about the Whiz Kids a little bit, since we're talking about them, how special that team was and what you guys went through together.
Well, we weren't good in 48. We struggled a little bit. In 49, Chris, we came up and came in third. We played good at the end. So we were a little bit more confident in 50. But the Dodgers were a tough club, but as the season progressed, we had guys like Semenuk and Nicholson and Constantine and older guys, and then all the other young guys, and we put it together. It was a great mix, and of course we just won the last day, and that's what did it. I often say if we hadn't won that day, we probably wouldn't talk to each other, but because of that win, we are close and we have great memories.
All right, you won the last day, and modestly, you had a small part in that, to say the least. Now, I have to ask you about that. In this age of pitch counts, and you have to be so much more careful with pitchers. They say you pitched 4 times in 9 days. I mean, what was that like? Well,
we had unusual circumstances. Kurt was gone. Bubba got hit in the eye. Bob Miller had a bad back. So all of a sudden, it boiled down. See, if the Dodgers had lost any time during that stretch, we'd have been in. But by golly, they won every day. And Eddie just kept handing me the ball. And I remember the last day particularly, I wasn't sure I was pitching. I was in the clubhouse, and Eddie walked over, and he gave me a brand new ball, and he said, "Good luck." And that's the first time he had ever done that to me. And that's when I knew I was pitching. But now it's much smarter the way they do it now. They get more rest. As long as they throw enough in between starts, the 4-day rest rotation's got to be marvelous. You got to have good stuff really. I occasionally would have a 4-day rest, and I could throw with 4 days rest, And I think they're much smarter the way they do it. I do question why they take them out. Some guys are pitching a beautiful 7-inning ball game. They take them out, but that's the way they do it, and consequently, they're always going to do that. They got their closers and everything, but I would like to have a 4 days rest, but I would make sure I threw in between enough, because I think you got to keep an edge.
I want to ask you about that. It was the 10th inning when Dick Sisler hit the home run. Now you're going to go back out there with a chance to end it all, send the Phillies to the World Series. What was that half inning like for you?
Well, I was so wired into that ball game, Chris, that didn't matter to me. I mean, I knew Dick hit a home run, but I wasn't overconfident or anything. I just said, I got to go get him out. And the first pitch I threw in that inning, Campy hit the ball pretty good to left field, but Mayo had replaced Dick, and he shagged it. And then I struck out the next guy, and the next guy popped up. But at no time did the 3-run homer get me gay, you know what I mean? I still had to do the job, and I was wired in all day, and I didn't change at that. But I'll say this, when that last outlet, I'm telling you, I've had some sports moments, but none like that. That was the greatest thing I ever was involved with.
Robbie, there's no, I mean, we all just love baseball so much. It doesn't seem like there's any other sport, the camaraderie involved in what you guys did, riding the trains and what you went through together. What was that group like?
It was fantastic. We'd play cards, we'd argue, we'd be on trains together. You cannot believe how we got along. Well, the reserve clause forced that to happen. You weren't going to change teams, so you better get along with your teammates because you're with them for 4, 5, 6 years, But it was... I know when I coached college down in South Florida, I still enjoy getting on the bus with those guys and hear them arguing with each other and everything else. But that's a small part of it now because it's such a high-priced thing now, and the talented guys have agents, and it's not even the same world.
Last thing, I mean, you lost 4 games to the Yankees, but you lost 3 games by 1 run. What are your memories of that World Series? And I know you and Joe DiMaggio had an epic confrontation.
Well, my situation was Jim pitched the first day because I had pitched so much, and he pitched a marvelous game. He lost 1-0 Constantia. It's the only game he started all year. And my game, Joe was 0 for 4. Surprising, he had popped up 4 times. And in the 10th inning, I just popped one in there, and he hit the line drive in the upper deck. And it was a cool day. The ball wasn't really traveling, and he really ripped one, upstairs. And you get beat 2-1, and I didn't give a whole lot of thought to it. Complete disappointment at losing. But Andy said, I remember after the game asking, he said, hey, he just pitches like he pitches, and it just turned out we were a little short. And then the next game, we were ahead 2-0 late in the game. That was the game that really hurt us, because if we'd at least won one, we might have gotten something going. But we were, after that game, it was all over.
Robbie, thanks so much for your time. It's always great to see you, and you're just still one of the great people to come back to Philadelphia. And a lot of us admire you so much. So it's good to see you again.
I'll tell you, Chris, this is wonderful for all the guys. We're not young anymore. And just to be around them and be recognized by the Philly fans is really great.
The Whiz Kids ceremony was tonight, honoring Robin Roberts and some of the other players from that great team back in 1950. Stay tuned. We'll be back to bring you those ceremonies right after this. And back here at Veterans Stadium on an absolutely gorgeous night for baseball. What a wonderful ceremony we had here tonight, honoring the 1950 National League champion Whiz Kids. Here's some of the things that happened. They had that facsimile of the World Series program out there. Ruly Carpenter, Bob Miller. There's Stan Lopato. Had such a great career here as a catcher. Speaking of catchers, how about Andy Semenuk, number 21? Kurt Simmons, still in the area at Lime Kiln Golf Club. And of course, Whitey not here, and his wife Herbie, and Liz Ennis, a widow of Del Ennis. And last but not least, the great Robin Evan Roberts, the greatest right-handed pitcher in the history of the Phillies. They took a little victory lap and some of those old Corvettes. The crowd rose and applauded them, and it was really neat to see a lot of those guys around again. See, they still look pretty good. The 1950 Whiz Kids. Business to be done here tonight. The Baltimore Orioles and the Phillies. Harry Callis and Larry Anderson return with the starting lineups right after this.